This video is brought to you by how running into Yuna isn't just to freak Ilya out, it's to freak us out too. More on that later. Welcome loons, goons, and anyone ready to swoon. I'm Sarah and I love to talk about TV and movies and all things romance, so that is what we're doing here. Heated Rivalry continues to be on my brain, so we're continue overanalyzing basically every second of the show. I'm going scene by scene through the show, talking about all the beautiful acting and framing and symbolism associations that my brain comes up with. If you're unfamiliar with the show, it follows Shane and Ilya through their hockey careers. Rivals on the ice, but secretly falling in love off it. You can find a playlist in the description to catch up on all my yappity thoughts on the previous scenes. And I'm so happy for all the love that you gave the previous video. It was so great to hear how you guys were like viewing all the scenes and the symbolisms that I was talking about. And I'm so happy that you could get something out of my analysis of this scene of the shower and the post-shower interactions. In this video, we are building up to this big momentum moment of room 1410. But first, we have to see the boys get ready, because this is not just some filler montage that we're about to get into. There is so many things happening here, and I have a lot to say about it. Like, I had to make it its own separate video, a lot to talk about. So let's not spend any more time here on formalities. Let's just get into it. This video contains spoilers for Heated Rivalry Season 1. As I said, we'll soon enough be taking a closer look at Shane and Ilya's first hookup. But first, here we are with the boys getting ready for said meetup, because there is a lot of great moments here too. The acting is amazing, phenomenal, and there is some symbolism that I'm really excited to talk about. We're coming into this montage type scene of mostly Shane, but also a bit with Ilya getting ready to their meetup. We're coming in from the locker room scene after the shower, and in the shower, you know, there was some things happening. We got like a little frisky, but from a distance. A lot of thoughts on that, so go check out that video if you want to hear more. And Ilya was kind of like propositioning Shane, but Shane didn't want to do anything, not here. So then we cut to the locker room and Shane overthinking and just wanting to forget about this whole thing, but he pretty quickly folded and turned around his waist when Ilya asked for his room number. So clearly he really wanted to do this thing. But at the end of the scene in the locker room, he still starts to like freak out again and overthink again. And it's this energy that we're going into the montage sequence with. Shane overthinking on the bench and Shane overthinking in the hotel room. We start the montage scene with the song Sealion, and it starts playing as we're on Shane in the locker room and follow us into the montage with Shane in the hotel room. When it starts, it has this type of like clap vibe to it, kind of like get into gear, get moving. At least that's kind of like the feeling that I'm getting from it. Kind of like a machine set into motion, things are working. And this song, Sealion, is a Nina Simone cover. And from what I can like read online is that this word Sealion is possibly some sort of slang for women that would be standing on the sea line waiting for sailors to come back to harbor and to, you know, like entertain them. And it's thought that, you know, sea line became sea lion, and also like some other words as a way to like describe these women or call these women. And they would be standing here, as I said, waiting for the sailors who have been off at sea for months and months, if you know what I mean. So when they came to shore, they would be standing here waiting in different clothes with different colors to kind of represent the different like services that they will offer the sailors for entertainment. So it's very interesting with this symbol in the song that we're cutting to Shane getting ready, dressing in different clothes. First we see him in the suit and then he's changing to something more casual, which to me represents him like getting ready, preparing himself for different types of intimacy that he's maybe okay with, like figuring out what is he okay with doing here, what is he not okay with doing here, figuring out his own boundaries, like in a general sense of what is this whole meetup going to be about, which he figures this meetup should be about talking at least, but we're going to come back to that. Related to the song and these like song lyrics, we also get the line, marry the man and spend the whole sweet life, while Shane is putting on the suit, which is this classic like wedding attire choice. And with that, a symbol of serious commitment. Of course, giving a little nod to the fact that he will in fact get his happy ever after with Ilya at some point. But I also think symbolically that him taking off the suit is because that this type of serious commitment meetup is not what this is about right now. So with this symbolism of the different clothes and different colors of the women to show what they were offering, symbolically, this seriousness is not what Shane is offering here. And I think for Shane, he probably is thinking that this is going to be like a one-time thing, whatever this thing is. Even though we know that there is like this strong attraction between them and a very strong attraction from Shane to Ilya, that's not what Shane thinks is possible for his life right now. So we see him standing here in the suit, realizing that it's not the right fit, saying, "What are you doing, dude? Like, this is too serious. It's too intense." And it's kind of put in as this like funny humorous moment because yes, like we, the audience, can also see that this is maybe a bit of an intense getup for a booty call. But I love how we're getting this shot into the mirror as he says this. We're seeing him facing the mirror, this like motif, this symbol that we talked about in previous videos, the symbol of duality of the characters, the different masks that they have, the private and public self, and also this self-reflection, like facing yourself. Who am I? Who do I want to be? And here Shane is facing the mirror, facing himself with this symbol of trying on different clothes to see what fits him, what he wants to do in this moment, what he wants to be, like who is he really? And for a little bit, as he's putting on the suit, he looks more neutral, like he's just putting on the suit. A choice that maybe has come by because of overthinking, but also it is the first choice, the serious choice, as I mentioned symbolically. This is his like initial reaction to meeting up with Ilya. He truly does want something serious, or like symbolically this part of him and his sexuality is a serious part. At least for me, it symbolically gives that it is a serious matter to him and he wants to get seriousness out of it. Or what do you say? Like being gay, being queer, it's not just a casual thing. It's something that he wants to live freely. He just haven't gotten to that point where he feels that he can do that. Because he then really looks at himself here in the montage, metaphorically as well. And as the line, "marry the man and spend the whole sweet life" is sung, we see that his demeanor is changing. He starts to realize what he's wearing and what this means, both in the sense of literally, like here in the moment for the hookup, that he's being overdressed for meeting up with Ilya, and also in the sense of symbolically offering too much serious, too much intensity for the meetup. In the symbolical sense, it's also quite heartbreaking how Shane is telling himself off here with, "What are you doing, dude?" Almost as if he's telling himself he can't have this out and proud queer life. For the character in the moment, you can see that Shane is overthinking. He's realizing how odd he looks for what they're meeting here for. Even though you could say that initially it was a more serious commitment Shane wanted to offer and live out. He gets to the conclusion that this doesn't fit here. Like what Ilya will come for is a casual thing. And we see Shane switching to t-shirt and regular pants, a more casual look. And again, this change in clothes also signals the change in what he's willing to offer, to give, and to reveal. It's a more casual outfit for a more casual setting. Though it also is a more comfy outfit, which I also think symbolically plays into what he wants to offer Ilya, comfort, and how he feels or how he wants to feel in this moment here with Ilya, comfortable. Here in the preparation, he is not very comfortable though. He is freaking out, changing clothes and sitting here in the chair, freaking the frick out. And this acting is like so freaking good. Like, he's so nervous, so overthinking. He is sweating bullets. And there also is like this little sign on the table with a taxi service, which kind of is this simple. Gives like, you know, there's a quick escape option here for Shane if he needs it. Or like maybe like mentally, this is what he's like thinking, overthinking about here. Sitting in the chair, how can he get out of this situation? And playing a little bit into this like prey personality, or what you call it, like this dynamic role that we see he has in response to Ilya throughout the show. You know, the prey always have a quick escape plan, right? Even though that isn't what he wants, like he doesn't want to escape, he really wants to be here. He's just nervous and anxious about this like new unknown experience that he's about to have. Also in the mirror earlier, we see there is a door in the background, sort of a symbol of this escape being right there. But also the new door is the new path being right here. As we talked about in the hotel scene after the draft, where there also was a big door in focus. And we were talking about this saying like when one door closes, another one opens. And it was kind of a symbol of like the new path. And Shane walked out of that hotel door onto the new path. And here, Ilya will be walking in of this door we see reflected in the mirror. He will be walking into Shane's new path. Am I overanalyzing? Probably, but I kind of really love this symbolism that is put in here with the door. Shane is sitting in the chair, very nervous. He gets the TV on, he gets the TV off, the lamp is off and he turns it off. He's kind of just all over the place, and I just love how this is acted out. He's trying to be calm and casual and not nervously just sitting around waiting for Ilya, although that is exactly what he is doing. And we get this nervous arm movement that I just so love, like chef's kiss. It's so freaking good. This like overthinking, like you can see his brain is working faster than his reactions, than his body movements. Like he's trying to sit here casual with the arm up, but oh no, like no down, but no up, but no, oh maybe not. Like it's just is so good. And I don't know, relatable. I don't know if you also do that sometimes, of like you want to do something and go pick up something, but oh no, not anyways. I do that sometimes. And I feel like we're just really feeling for Shane here in this moment and his whole nervous energy. Like it's very relatable, like to meet up with someone you have a crush on, or like someone you're attracted to or interested in, and being like nervous about what's gonna happen. I also like remember in school when I was having a crush on this guy and I needed to do a presentation like in front of the whole class. And I almost was having like a panic attack or something, like going up there, because I was like so in my feels, and I couldn't even like look in his direction, because if I did, like obviously everyone would know that I was having a crush on him, right? Obviously. And so I totally missed like when someone is having a question like over in that side of the class, which I feel like just made it more obvious. Obviously the situation here with Shane and Ilya is completely very different. I just think like, you know, it's very relatable, this unsure, nervous, excited, maybe overthinking feeling that we're seeing from Shane, especially adding in when you're about to experience something you haven't before. I think that's like genderless, that you can like imagine this like nervous, anxious feeling. At least I can. And then we're also adding in this extra layer of Shane's internal struggles. And what will this say about him? What would this mean for him to experience this? You know, it's very clear that Shane hasn't done anything like this before, which is also confirmed like a little bit later that this is his first experience with another man, his first like intimate experience with another man. Though, as someone pointed out on the last video, when Shane looks back, the shower scene is actually what he thinks of when he thinks of his first experience with a man. But the experience we're ramping up to in 1410 is also very monumental and a big step for Shane. We're also seeing here that Shane is nervous because of this new experience in the acting, in, you know, the writing and like directing, screen directing, stage directing, what do you call it? And I just love that. I feel like that is so great, like storytelling wise. And it also draws us in to like know where is Shane in this moment, like when he's going into the meetup. We see Shane mentally preparing and also kind of like berating himself a little, like when he's sitting here freaking out, he's like, stop it, which also I do sometimes. If I'm like on this bad brain spiral, I tell myself, nah, we don't want that. Like push it away, push the bad thoughts away, push the spiraling away, you know? And I guess that it helps for Shane, because by the time Ilya enters the hotel room, Shane is way more relaxed. I mean, he still is like nervous, but he has really prepared himself. He's like not sweating bullets anymore or anything like that. And he's come up with this game plan that they should talk, which I think is because the Shane still doesn't really know how to let go and give in to this thing. Like, he still needs Ilya's help and sort of guidance in this to give in to his like desires. But we're gonna see how that is gonna go, because Ilya has had a very different prep before the hookup, and is also like in general in a very different place like than Shane in his like acknowledgement of his sexuality, and he hasn't really come here to talk. So let's look at Ilya's way to this meetup. As we're seeing Shane mentally preparing and freaking out, we're also cutting to Ilya, who is on his way to Shane's hotel room in the elevator. And I just love this juxtaposition, or what you call it, going from Shane freaking out to Ilya being cool as a cucumber. He seems way more relaxed and kind of like more casual about this thing. It gives this feeling like that Ilya has done this before, or at least something similar, and he isn't freaking out about the prospect of seeing Shane. Sort of the opposite. He's been building up the anticipation for like a year, which again is a very great like storytelling and gets us into where Ilya is going into the meetup. Of course, we've already spent some time with the characters and gotten like a bit of sense of who they are, how they're like behaving, but I just think that it's so nice to see like all of these things building on top of each other and getting to know the characters more. We see Ilya, as I said, in the elevator, and we're going up the floor numbers, like we're seeing them tick up. We know that Ilya is going up to the 14th floor because Jane is in room 1410. And we're getting up to the number 6 when the doors open and we see Yuna, Shane's mom, like, oh shit, all of a sudden she's there. But let's like put a little pin in that for a second, because first we need to talk about the floor numbers. Yes, you heard that right. It seems like the elevator is coming up to the 6th floor when it opens, but there are some clues here that we're actually on the 14th floor. Now, some may say there's like some continuity error here, but I say let's overanalyze it instead. So what are these clues? Well, firstly, when the elevator dings, we see Ilya like push off the wall as if he's about to get off the elevator. Now, why would he be doing that if he didn't plan to get off the elevator? Secondly, the elevator wouldn't have stopped on this floor if Ilya hadn't pressed for it. Like, if it's going down, like it wouldn't go up, stop, and then go further up to go back down. You know, it would just go up and then come down to the person going down. Of course, Yuna could have like pressed both the up and down button, like just to get the elevator here quicker, which someone also pointed out on Threads, but you know, I don't know about that. Like, we're overanalyzing here. Thirdly, when we get the camera focused to the wall behind Yuna when Ilya is talking, that also is a highlight on the room number behind her, 14 something, which clearly would be on the 14th floor and not the 6th. Someone was saying that they were just filming on like different floors than what was actually shown here, but overanalyzing. Lastly, I'm also thinking that it makes sense that Yuna and Shane would be on the same floor. They've been checking in together and they would have been booked together by the brand for this like commercial shoot. So it would make sense that she is also here on the 14th floor. Something that is maybe gonna take away from Yuna staying on the 14th floor is, would Shane really like so willy-nilly set up a hookup, or even just have Ilya come by to a chit chat if his mom is going to be like around the corner on the same floor? I think maybe not. But, you know, maybe he just couldn't help himself like in the locker room. And maybe that's why he's looking so cringe after he gave away the hotel number. And maybe it's like a bigger floor, so Yuna would be like far away in another hotel room. And maybe that's why he just wanted to talk with Ilya when he showed up. Or maybe Yuna isn't staying on the 14th floor, she's just saying goodnight to Shane after they had dinner or something. And that's why she's here. Okay, that's like a lot of maybes, but you know, like we can make it make sense, right? What do you think? Are we opening up here on the 6th floor or the 14th floor when we see Yuna? For me, I'm going to say we're on the 14th floor here for my analysis, because I don't know, I just don't think it's so fun to think about like continuity errors, and more just like go with what are we seeing and thinking about like this is how the world is that they're in and what can we like get from this symbolically and when we're analyzing things. But let me know what you think. But if we say we're here on the 14th floor, I have some questions. Or like it made me question a little bit the first few times that I was watching this show. Like, I was a little confused as to why we're seeing the number 6, like for the number 6 floor, and then the room numbers on the wall being 14 something. It really made me wonder, like, what are they trying to do here? What is like the symbolism and hidden meaning that they want to put in? Like, what are they trying to tell us? So I looked into it. They're showing the number 6, so I got to think 6, like 666, like kind of like the devil. Maybe there's something sinful, something sexy, like with this, like we are on our way to a hookup, right? So maybe it's something with that. But then I also was looking up, like the number 6 is associated with Venus. Aha, another Venus reference. I bet you didn't think we would get to that so quickly, huh? As we talked about in the previous video, where I also, funnily enough, had another Venus reference, Venus is about like harmony and balance, desire and love, which really pulls us into Shane and Ilya and them like meeting up for their little rendezvous here. But the number 6 is also about nurturing. And there is a really strong focus on like family with this number. It's also called like the motherhood, fatherhood number. So motherhood and Yuna is here. I think that there is some meaning, some symbolism with that. Don't you? Whether like we're actually on the 6th floor or not, the number 6 is shown for a reason and it still has some meaning, I think. But back to Yuna's surprise guest appearance here. We think that Ilya is gonna get off to meet Shane. But then Yuna is bam, right there, right as the elevator doors open, right? Which to me was kind of a jump scare. Like, I did not expect that. But maybe we should have, because Yuna is always around Shane and always around his sponsorship deals. So it makes sense that she would be here too. And it also is like showing this like interpersonal relationship that there is between Shane and Yuna, with her showing up here. Like, she keeps close around him to protect him, but keeping him close is also a way to give like less freedom or like less space for him to move around, do his own thing. Not with like hiding what he's doing, but just for like having a private life. And her showing up here also very much shows this like obstacle that there is for Shane because his mom is always around. But it also shows an obstacle for whoever is pursuing Shane because his mom is always around. There's a general obstacle of family expectation to get to Shane. I think her showing up here on Ilya's path, or what you will call it, to the hookup, is very important. Giving Ilya more clues to Shane and how to approach him. But also when we look at this on like a broader lens, with this symbol of the number 6, Yuna also represents a general concept of parents, of family, and the pressure that also Ilya has with his family to hide his sexuality from them. Even though they aren't here and there isn't like a risk in a way here for them to find out about him, it still is something that Ilya carries with him, this worry of being outed. Even though, as we later see, he pretends that he doesn't carry this around, that he doesn't worry about this. But like symbolically, it's something that we get like reminded of. Yuna popping up out of nowhere here is also giving me like classic rom-com vibes. Being interrupted on the way to something really, really important by basically the last person that you want to see. Like, that is like rom-com 101. And it also made me kind of like nervous that Yuna was gonna foil the plans. Like, was she gonna find out about something, or almost find out about something? Was she gonna make it so Shane and Ilya wouldn't be getting together here? And it kind of surprised me when she didn't find out about something or foil any plans. Like, we don't see or hear anymore from her in this first like little hookup confine. And in this rom-com sense, like, you could say, why show the build-up without the punchline? But I think giving us, the audience, this feeling, this thought of, is she gonna find out? Is she gonna know? Is very intentional. I'm also going to talk more about that when we get like a bit further into this episode and into the show in general. But there are multiple moments like throughout the show where we, the audience, get this feeling that maybe another character knows about Shane and Ilya, knows that they're queer, knows that they're together, but we aren't quite sure. Like, we don't know 100%. It's not like said out loud or spelled out. And it's brought a lot of debate online, like for and against if a character knows. For example, there's big debate if Scott Hunter knows about Shane and Ilya, because he kind of pops up and says things also in some places where he gives a clue that maybe he knows, but we never really get like confirmation on this. So we're always left wondering, questioning. And I think that is a very intentional feeling that we're given. Because just like here with Yuna and this thought of like, will she see something? This is exactly the thoughts and the questions, the worry that Ilya and Shane carry with them, always questioning with the people around them, with strangers around them, if anyone knows. There's always going to be this like paranoia because they don't want anyone to find out they're together. And I think it's an extremely important point to like give us, the audience, this type of feeling, this type of paranoia, because this type of feeling I think is very common for a lot of queer people, like in different stages of their journey. And also something that I heard like multiple queer people, like when they were reacting to the show, talk about this feeling of being in the closet and worrying, being paranoid because they didn't want anyone to know about it. So for me, that's why I think that there is no punchline, because it's all about the worry of potentially someone finding out and potentially being outed. There's never any punchline to that until you fully like embrace yourself, or actually way more accurate, when we as a society stop creating this pressure for people. And I also want to point out the framing, or what you call it, like the camera work here with Yuna and Ilya's little conversation. I think it's so amazingly done and I love it so much. Like we're going from being on Ilya and it kind of flows over to Yuna and then focusing on Ilya in the mirror behind her before flowing back to Ilya again. And I just love that we get this reflection of Ilya here and that we're seeing his part of the conversation in the mirror. For one, the symbolism of the mirror, like we talked about, the self-reflection and facing yourself. We're seeing that for Ilya here as we saw with Shane earlier. And two, for the symbolism with the mirror in regards to duality and this like private versus public self. Ilya is shown here in front of Yuna as his public self. The public mask is on, or at least he very quickly puts it on. Like he's not fully being his true self here. And that is why we're seeing him reflected in the mirror instead of like, you know, the camera being on him directly. The camera here is also framing Ilya similar to how we saw Shane earlier, panning from him around to face the mirror. It's almost as if they could be looking into the same mirror and symbolically into a similar type of self-reflection. At least that's what my overanalyzing, simple, loving brain is telling me. The camera not cutting back and forth in this classic conversation framing is also showing how we're here in the elevator with Ilya. This is all from his POV. When Ilya sees Yuna and he hears she's going down, he is very quick on his feet because he then knows that the elevator is continuing up because she's not getting on it. This is still in the headcanon that we're on the 14th floor here. And Yuna is kind of surprised to see Ilya here, and she tries to introduce herself because, you know, they're like in the same sports world. Her son is kind of like having this working relationship with Ilya. She kind of goes into momager mode, I think. And you know, she's like being polite and all, but then the elevator door starts to close, and there's this awkward laugh moment like between them for both of them. Ilya is also like trying to be polite. Also, he's not really engaging because seeing Yuna here gets him a bit freaked out, I think. And Ilya's laugh just gets me every time. It's so awkward. Like this is such a foreign experience for him. And he's so not wanting to be here. As I talked about with this like association to family in general that Yuna is representing, like you don't really want like your family around when you're on your way to a hookup, like no matter the genders, right? And we also see like as the elevator doors close and Ilya goes back up again, how he starts to think. And to me, it almost looks like Ilya is having an out-of-body experience. Also when we compare it to the start of the frame and how close up the camera was there. And it's giving me this association that before Yuna, he was in his own world. And now there's this out-of-body thinking moment. It seems a bit shook up. Probably like thinking about his whole plan for the evening. Rethinking how things are going to go and how he's going to approach it. Like knowing Shane's mom is here, is that going to change something? wondering how Shane would be with this, and maybe also like thinking about his own parents. How would he be if they were around here? As I said, we later learned that he's a bit more like cavalier when he's talking about potentially being caught in the past. But I think that there's a lot more to that, like under the surface, and a lot more like vulnerability and worry about it than he wants to show. And I kind of is unsure, like when I think about it, if he would really be doing something like this if his father would have been here at this hotel. I do think this is giving him like not pause, but you know, he's like needing to rethink things a bit. Like Yuna, and in this sense, like the representation of family, his own family, is literally in the way for him to get to Shane here. And so maybe he's also calculating like, how is he gonna get to Shane without Yuna seeing him. And if we're on the 14th floor, we would have to go all the way up and then get out and then get back down. But you can't just go straight down, because then Yuna would be there getting on the elevator. So he has to wait. He has to go down and then back up. And also, if Yuna was here like dropping Shane off or something after dinner, that also is maybe why he was like in the suit earlier. And I also feel like that it kind of makes sense like why Shane is in the dark, like freaking out for so long. Because if Ilya has to do all these shenanigans of going up and down and all around, like he probably is going to be running a bit late for their rendezvous. I think running into Yuna is also a reason why Ilya tells Shane, I thought you might chicken out, when he gets to the hotel room. Like he's making it a joke, and like obviously we've seen Shane like overthinking and backing out of things like earlier. But I think maybe he also had like a legit worry after seeing Yuna, like if Shane wasn't going to be into this, if he wasn't going to open the door because of his mom being here. For me, it also is very interesting how we're getting into the scene here. In a lot of the previous scenes, we have gone from Shane to Shane. You know, the draft photo op to the draft mingling, from the hotel room to the gym, from the commercial shoot to the sponsorship talk to the shower, from the locker room to the start of the hookup prep. But now here we're going from Ilya to Ilya. We're in the elevator with Ilya and then in the hotel room with Ilya. Cut up with a little frame of him knocking on the door. It's still Ilya though, but it kind of is like detaching us a little bit from Ilya. You know, I'm kind of interpreting this as how Ilya is maybe also detaching a little bit as well, like from his mind and from his worry. You know, Ilya's plan here is to play it cool and to get Shane to relax. It's definitely not to sit down and chat. Like, that is not why they're here. That is not what he has been thinking about for like the last 6 months and for the however many hours since the shower. Like, one, he probably doesn't want to be vulnerable like that. And two, I don't think he thinks this will help Shane relax either. Though funnily enough, they do kind of end up talking, at least for like a little bit. But we're gonna get way more into that when we're fully diving into room 1410. For now, we have made it to the end of the montage scene. I love this scene, or like these scenes, like this like little montage with all these little moments. I love it both as like a type of palate cleanser, like between the tension of the shower and the tension that will be in room 1410, but also as a way of like building anticipation. I feel like it does both. Like there's built in some humor for the montage, like with the "what are you doing, dude?" This like nervous energy of Shane, the surprise visit from Yuna, and this like awkward laughing that they're having. But of course, like these moments are also building up the intensity. We're seeing the characters be nervous and anxious, building up the courage, building up anticipation. Like this is just about to be the moment, like the moment they've been waiting for however long now, like for so long. They're finally getting to be with each other, to feel each other, to like connect. And also with like this song we've been having through the montage, as we get into the hotel room, it abruptly stops and we kind of like dropped into reality, similar to how it was in the commercial shoot, where it also felt like we were dropped into that. We're dropped into the scene with the characters, which to me gives this breath of like realness. Like we're not getting any like additional stimulation for how we're supposed to be. Like, you know, this is like how real life is. There also isn't mood music or anything like that, right? So we're like just, you know, simply in the moment with the characters for this monumental scene about to happen. And I think it's like such a great way that they're using music, or like the lack of music to give us different feelings and connecting with what we're seeing in different ways. And I'm so looking forward to getting more into all of that in the next scene when we get like all the spicy moments, all the consent moments, all the feeling each other out moments. Oh, it's gonna be so good and I just cannot wait to talk about it. But we have to wait like a little bit because I also had so much to say about this montage scene. Like I needed to split it up because there was like too many thoughts and too little time. But don't worry, the next video will be out soon enough. So until then, let's just hype out by talking about this scene right here. Like tell me in the comments what you're thinking of this montage scene. Are you also getting this anxious feeling when you see Yuna? Can you relate to Shane like having his mind basically pace back and forth the room all over? His nervous energy. Let me know. I would so love to hear what you're thinking and seeing here. How you're reading all the symbolism. So thank you so much for being here and hanging out, listening to me yap and gush about this show. It really just means so much to me. So thank you so much for the love and for interacting and being part of deep diving on this show. If you're not subscribed, like please consider that. Please get on that, like push that button and also push on those notifications so you're not going to miss the next upload. And until next time, remember that being you is always in season. Seasons of sorrow, seasons of sorrow.